questions that I often get asked. I think many spiritual teachers or teachers of wisdom get asked this same question about reincarnation. Is there such a thing? What is it? There are many opinions, of course, flying around. So here's my short contemplation today. I'm thinking of Christ's statement, "In my Father's house there are many mansions." And I think what he was saying, as I understand it, is that there are many layers of realities that we can exist on. And, there are gradations of frequency, and all realities, excepting the ultimate reality, are relative. So they have a relativity to them, a relative truth. The ultimate truth is beyond words. The ultimate truth is beyond concepts. Right, so let's begin there. So you might say, well, what's the point in adopting a relative truth? Because relative truths can be like the rungs on a ladder that lead to the absolute truth. So if a relative truth gives you an improved life and puts you at ease, even though it may be relative, why would you not adopt it? And so that's a great, for me, that's a great question to begin with. So look at the different truths. They're like the books on the shelves behind me, A truth, you pick out the book, and then that's your truth, and you decide to live by that truth. And you might live by that truth and not by another truth. And we all pull out these books, these concepts off the shelves of existence, and then we live by them. Sometimes we then discard them and open a new one, have some kind of a breakthrough or even a breakdown. And we take out a different book, different view. And that's our lives as humans with the mind. That's how the mind operates. So reincarnation, in a way, is one of those mansions, one of those layers and one of those levels. And I've got a really lovely quote here I found from Henry Ford. Henry Ford, the car man, the man that makes the Ford cars, American industrialist. And he was a big fan of reincarnation. So here's what he says. "I adopted the theory of reincarnation when I was 26. Religion offered nothing to this point. Even work could not give me complete satisfaction. Work is futile if we cannot utilize the experience we collect in one life in the next. When I discovered reincarnation, it was as if I had found a universal plan. I realized that there was a chance to work out my ideas. Time was no longer limited. I was no longer a slave to the hands of the clock. Genius is experience. Some seem to think that it's a gift or a talent, but it's the fruit of long experience in many lives. The discovery of reincarnation put my mind at ease. If you preserve a record of this conversation, write it so that it puts men's minds at ease. I would like to communicate to others the calmness that the long view of life gives to us." And obviously this is the view that has been very strongly prevalent in the Hindu culture for thousands and thousands of years. And some may say, there's advantages and disadvantages because you may get lazy and think, well, I got another life. I personally, at the level that my mind operates within these layers, I find it a very relaxing truth, as Henry Ford did. And because it enables you to have this, it's not a made up truth, there's relative truth to it. So, within the fabric of the cosmos, rebirth is something we see everywhere. And there's a great deal of evidence out there that points to the truth of reincarnation. So there are children that have been found that have absolute memories of every detail of their previous lives, and there's records of all that. You can go online and find it. There's loads of this stuff, right? And I'm not interested in proving it, right? That's not what it's about. I just want to show you the validity of a healthy viewpoint, as long as you understand it as that. So it has a relative truth, and then you can adopt it, and you can make use of its thrust in your life. Of its, like, because it can lead you somewhere. Like Ford, he discovered that actually that enabled him to relax, enabled him to kind of take a much longer view. I'm a bit like that with the work I do. I'm really interested in helping this planet. And there's the other view that we've been conditioned with from the Buddhists, for example. I love the Buddhists, but there's almost a pressure that comes from those views, or the non-dualists, which is that no view, we will take no views at all, or else all views are false, which, as I said, it is actually true. But then there's this pressure of, we've got to get enlightened, we've got to get it all done. And that there's almost a pressure in that sometimes. And that pressure can kind of create tension in us. I know that can be good tension or bad tension, I don't know, but it's like a kind of pressured spiritual conditioning. I've got to get enlightened, I can't hold any views. They're all false. And it can really put you in a kind of, funk. If that's your path, then that's your path, and celebrate it and go for it, absolutely. Then this may not be of so much interest to you. However, for me, one of the great vows that comes out of Buddhism, I'm talking about Buddhism, is the Bodhisattva vow, which is the vow that a soul takes to never leave this plane until everyone is enlightened. In other words, to keep coming back and being reborn into the world and helping bring everyone out of the mire and towards the light. That's a wonderful story. That's a wonderful vow to take inside oneself. And it leads to a deeply compassionate view of the world. And Buddhism obviously is another religion that strongly has a strong bent towards rebirth, although its understanding is slightly different from the Hindu. I'm not going into semantics. So the long-term view, it's very generous. If you can consider that, you have some work to do that you want to achieve on the human plane, and if you see it as a multi-generational work, then it's something you can actually perceive yourself as incarnating back into. So the work with the Gene Keys that I'm doing is creating this synthesis of world teachings and a world community who are able to really come into the embodiment of the teachings together over time. It takes time. To manifest things on the physical plane takes a long time. Even with all the resources you need, it just still takes a long time. And so and often, and people are kind of dying, and then new people are being born, and there's this whole story. And so if you place yourself in the wider context of that, you can really see where you want to be going. Because often we focus on where we have been, who we were. I'm sure we bring into the world karma with us. We bring in a program. We seem to bring in this energy. And some people are focused very much on I want to know who I was. In a way, I'm more interested in, well, who am I going to be? Because who I'm going to be is created now, out of how I am now, out of my thoughts, my behavior. It's being imprinted right now. And that means that, I am setting my trajectory into the future. And that can be a really beautiful thing, because there can be, we have this other obsession is we suffer here, right? So we want to get out. There's this part of us I want to get out of this game. It's really not fun. I think that's a stage, and I think we have to get past that stage until we really enjoy being here. And then why not linger? Why not do some work here? Why not see it as I have a project. I have a global project. I have a project I want to be part of with others, with the community, with a family of people I love. I want to meet them again. I want to come back into this. I want to carry on this work. I want to go deeper. I want to refine my spiritual path. I want to, give yourself that generosity. And you can literally set your future trajectory, from the present without ever leaving the present with this view. Going back into the past, maybe it has its uses. The sages say that if you were to remember all your lives, your brain would not be able to handle it. You would go mad. There are so many of them. There's so many layers. There's a use in that as well, in just realizing that maybe you've been around so long that you just have experienced every conceivable aspect of planetary behavior and, crisis and conflict and suffering and love and sex and joy and all of it. And it's all part of who you are. And it's led you to watching this video right now. It's led you to a spiritual path of awakening where you can begin to draw on all that experience that your soul has, that there's some aspect of your soul that kind of retains that wisdom, and that enables you to see further and to have clarity and to love more and to accelerate your own evolution. So there are a lot of different strands woven into this one. And I think it's one not to take too seriously, but it's also one that can be really healthy to adopt. I think it's a great subject. I'd like to explore it a bit more at some point. I have some insights to add. In one of my deep mystical experiences I had in the past, I actually saw the algorithms of incarnation. I actually saw that everything has a mathematics, everything has a formula, has these algorithms, and actually that if you knew those algorithms, you could even see the past, all your lives, the strand that connects you to this mythology through time, space, while you're here on this planet, living out your lessons and your evolutionary journey. And you could even project that into the future and see, and it's connected to timelines and dates and things. So you could actually work out everything. I mean, when I came out of that state, I didn't retain the memory of all the algorithms and the detail, but I kind of had this insight of, well, what would be the point? Isn't it really important just to live inside this theatre and to fully inhabit this body and these beings that we're in, and the stage, the current world stage. And so one day I will probably, God willing, explore the various possibilities of incarnative cycles as we come in and as we go out. But having this greater view and really adopting it also releases a lot of fear and a lot of tension, particularly around death and dying. It means that we can then die consciously. We can literally kind of seed the trajectory of where we want to go. And maybe that is, for us, maybe it is, I'm ready to leave, So I'm going to leave everything behind and all of this and just ascend to another plane. Wonderful, wonderful. And also allow yourself, well, maybe I'll come back. That might be a nice thing, I'll see all my loved ones in other forms. I may remember them at a cellular level, but not through a kind of mental level. But I remember them in the cells of my being. So many things to think about, many things to digest and contemplate. And I think it's a subject to be playful with. I think it's a fascinating realm. My father's house has many mansions. Which ones will you inhabit?